I'm the children's librarian at the Goldsboro Library, and I'm back for another week of summer reading. So, in these videos, we're talking to parents of very small children and babies about ways that you can enhance your child's literacy experiences at home and build up skills that will make them better readers when they get bigger and they're ready to start doing that. So, we've talked about a couple of different things that all kind of go together. All of these things are interlinked. But this week, we're going to talk about writing. And we know writing is very important to us as adults. And when we were students in school, you got to sign your name on important documents. You have to write papers for school. But you can use it to express yourself, to make notes. It's so important. You can't talk about writing enough and how important it is. But it's also a very important skill for children to learn how to do because clearly it goes along with the other things that they're learning, that letters and words mean something and that they can teach you things and that you can use them to express yourself as well. So children, they start developing pre-writing skills very early, and we can support them in this. So there's some things that you need to be looking for in your very small children to kind of know when they're ready to start working on some of these. So if your children can talk to you, if they're communicating through speech, if they're interested in books or they're interested when you're writing things down, they may be starting to understand that the squiggles on the page kind of mean something. They have print awareness. So these books and these papers and these words aren't just these random things, but they actually have meaning and they're important. So there's some things that you can do with your children to kind of facilitate their pre-writing skills. So one of the things that's really important is helping your children to build up the strength in their hands. So if they can hold a crayon or marker or whatever and draw and squiggle on the page, then they'll eventually be able to control their hand enough to write their name and write other words. So building up strength in their hand and developing fine motor skills is really important to help them develop their writing skills as well. There's lots of other things that can help your children to develop kind of these pre-writing skills, helping your children with shapes. So identifying shapes is very important because letters are made up of shapes, so lines, circles, squares, triangles. Depending on what your handwriting looks like, it can look different. But learning shapes is really important because you can help describe what letters look like when they start doing that. Giving them a chance to learn through their senses, feeling different textures, feeling different things with their hands. It helps them kind of, in a physical way, understand that different things feel different. There's differences between things. And kind of abstractly, they will be able to kind of say, oh, this letter looks different from this letter. This word looks different from this word, and kind of parse out differences in meaning through things in their world. So learning with your hands is very important for small kids. Talking about building up the strength in their hands, art is so important. So little kids love to draw and color and just scribble on paper. So they'll start out by scribbling all wild, and then maybe they'll start coloring inside the lines and drawing things later on. So that's really important because it helps develop their fingers and the strength in their fingers so that they can properly control a pencil or a pen when they get older. But it's really fun too. And if they start drawing, you can make up stories about what they've drawn. So it kind of helps them to connect things that are written down with things that you say. So that's really important with reading and writing. We also encourage children by pointing out things that are written down. So if you, a really good way to do this is to connect things that you see with their name. Children like things to connect, they like to connect things with themselves because they know themselves and they are experiencing the world around them. So if you try to bring things back home to them, it makes it easier to understand to a certain extent. So if you're like, oh, your name is Anna, your name starts with an A, this is what an A looks like. And if you go out, if you're driving or if you're in a store, you say, look, that sign has an A on it. The A is like the one that's in your name. Do you see another A? So you can start trying to connect letters and things that you see around you with things that are written down. And it can be like, oh, well, I have an A in my name. what other words have an A in them, and it can help them to understand and recognize the letters. So that's kind of an easy thing that you can do when you're out and about doing your normal stuff. Just point out different letters. Um, yeah, it's pretty easy, but also it's very important so they can recognize things and recognize the differences in letters, in uppercase and lowercase. All those things are very important. And when you start writing, to have the strength in your hand to be able to control a pencil or a pen or a marker or crayon or whatever you're using to write your name or write other things, being able to control the muscles in your hand, those are important. So encourage your children to color and scribble and draw and all of those things and play with Play-Doh and clay, and different things like that will really help them. It doesn't seem super related when you first think about it, but we want to build up those skills in their hands, so they will be ready to write when it comes time. So those are just some easy things. Just point out letters as you see them, connect them to things that they already know about, like their name. So I'll see you next week for some more tips.